In a quiet English village, Pippa Middleton's dream of building a nursery should have been simple. But behind the palace walls, sabotage was brewing. What started as a family project turned into a battle of power, as Kate Middleton stood face to face with Queen Camilla in a fight that would shake the monarchy. Nobody saw it coming. Not this big, not this hard. What started out as a humble family business in the boonies soon escalated into a full-fledged palace showdown, one that shook the very face of the monarchy. All of it began in the small, idyllic village of Bucklebury, where Pippa Middleton, Kate's younger sister, had a vision to create something with substance. Not a flashy enterprise, not a publicity stunt, but a true nursery school for families in the area. A place that would provide jobs, care for children, and be a center of early learning in rural England. For Pippa, this was never about celebrity. It was about creating her own legacy, independent of the looming shadow of her royal relative, and she was adamant about making it happen. In 2020, Pippa and her husband James Matthews bought a 72-acre farm for close to $2 million. They'd already converted parts of it into a successful family entertainment venue, and the nursery was to be the next iteration. It all appeared to be falling into place so nicely. Supportive council, community hype, green initiatives to repurpose existing farm buildings, and most of all, Kate's wholehearted endorsement. With her sister's backing came attention in the press, potential donors within the Royal Foundation sphere, and a veneer of acceptability. But behind palace gates, not all was rosy. Queen Camilla was less than happy. Seeing Kate and Pippa's innocent venture get top headlines hit a sore spot. For years, Camilla had struggled tooth and nail to be accepted, ascending from scandalous mistress to crowned queen. Her path had been littered with criticism, heartbreak, and constant public humiliation. And now, when she was attempting to reinforce her image, the Middletons, relaxed, uncontentious, and beloved, were easily stepping into the limelight. This was not merely a nursery to Camilla. It was a threat. And thus she played the way palace veterans play best: understatement, strategy, and unseen. Whispers were first, then procrastinations, then uncertainty. When Pippa confidently unveiled her final proposals to the local council, she anticipated applause. Her presentation was impeccable, her commitment unshakable, yet the mood was curiously charged. In place of strong backing, she received lukewarm nods and general fears about environmental pressure and heritage clashes, concerns that had not previously been addressed. Following the meeting, a well-respected local man, Harold Grayson, was visibly shaken and took Pippa aside. In a low tone, he spoke in confidence. "There is pressure from above. They want this shut down." Those few words devastated her. She had worked by the book, checked all the boxes, done everything correctly. So who on earth could want this halted? Camilla's fingerprints were nowhere to be seen, but her presence was felt everywhere. A few discreet phone calls to peer connections, discreet pressure applied to donors, and friendly prods given to council members wrought a tidal wave of roadblocks. Overnight, material suppliers disappeared. Paperwork froze. Permits went into review. Charities that had committed funding suddenly pulled out, citing internal restructuring. The now quiet construction site was a desolate graveyard of shattered dreams. Machines stood still under somber skies. Blueprints silently accumulated dust. And one afternoon, Pippa stood outside the closed farm gates, tears in her eyes, holding a crumpled suspension notice. Her dream was being suffocated in daylight. But something Camilla didn't expect was Kate. Because the moment Kate heard the truth, through a careful email from a sympathetic council member, everything shifted. That night, while the palace slept in silence, Kate made a decision. She didn't call a royal advisor. She didn't reach out to King Charles. Instead, she went straight to the source, Camilla herself. The phone rang once, twice. Then came the familiar, cold voice on the other end. "You're interfering," Kate snapped, skipping all formalities. "With Pippa, with her nursery, with something that actually matters." Camilla's reply was sharp, but calm, too calm. I am defending the monarchy, Catherine, she added, using Kate's full name with icy emphasis. Your sister's initiative is bringing the wrong sort of attention. This is not personal. Kate's head was burning. Everything you do is personal, she snapped back. You are not defending the crown. You are defending your ego. There was a moment of silence. Then the soft tinkle of a wine glass on the other end. Then Camilla's voice fell to a whisper. Don't push me too far. You won't like where that leads. The phone went dead. Kate stood in the palace gardens looking at her phone, her hands shaking, not with fear but with rage. She had long suspected Camilla's condescending dislike of her. But this was something else. This was a personal attack on her sister's ambition, and Kate was finished being quiet. That evening she brought in her closest media people, the very ones who had assisted in creating her image in those early years. She phoned in her lawyers, she spoke firmly, icily. This isn't just about Pippa, she said to them. It is about all families who might have been able to gain from that nursery. The public has a right to know the truth. Back at Bucklebury, the work meanwhile had come to a complete standstill. Pippa sat in a dusty office, blueprints still pinned to the walls, staring at yet another rejection email from a supplier. Each time she tried to breathe new life into the project, another door slammed shut. Her husband James paced the room, phone pressed to his ear. They've all gone cold, he muttered. It's like we've been blacklisted. Pippa knew it wasn't paranoia. This was deliberate, coordinated, personal. Then arrived the breakthrough. One evening, Pippa's phone rang with an unfamiliar number. She paused, expecting more bad news, and picked up. Miss Middleton. A nervous voice barely breathed. It was Harold Grayson, the councilman who had cautioned her once. I can no longer keep quiet. I have something, papers, emails, evidence of where this pressure is leading to, and it is more than you can imagine. The following day, Kate had a meeting with Harold in a corner of a London coffee shop. He pushed a creased brown envelope across the table, his hands shaking. I kept backups, he admitted. I couldn't sleep at night knowing what was going on. Inside were damning emails, direct communications from Camilla's office to council members and donors. Words leapt off the page: halt the project, minimize Middleton exposure. One message even outlined using aristocratic influence to discreetly pull funding. Kate sat in silence, the envelope heavy in her lap like a loaded weapon. Finally, she looked up and spoke firmly. You've done the right thing, and I'll protect you. When she walked out of that cafe, her eyes blazed with resolve. Plans were already underway. The fight would no longer be in the shadows. Kate declared a charity fair at Bucklebury Farm, a big village event designed to bring the place back to life. But this wasn't going to be all about stalls and balloons. This was Kate's battlefield, her time to retaliate. Behind the scenes, Kate's staff worked around the clock. A press conference was written, tactfully phrased, lawyers checked, and emotionally loaded. And on a sunny July morning, the rural peace of Bucklebury was the backdrop for a royal confrontation. The charity fair hummed with excitement. Children spread vibrant murals on easels. Parents shopped at tables of homemade jam and crafts. Laughter and music hung in the air. But behind the joviality, a ripple of tension ran. Everyone felt that something greater was on its way. BBC and Sky News reporters swarmed around a white tent in the middle of the fairgrounds. And then she emerged, Kate Middleton, wearing pale pastel blue, her expression serene but resolute. She ascended the little stage. She didn't smile. She didn't indulge in royal niceties. Today is not about me, she started, her voice firm as her eyes scanned the audience. It is about community, about children, about truth. And then she held up a folder. There were the damning emails Harold Grayson had handed her. We have evidence, she went on, that this nursery project was sabotaged on purpose. Not by mistake, not by red tape, but by an individual with vast power, someone who prioritized influence over compassion. Gasps swept through the room like wildfire. Cameras began to flash, reporters inclined forward. I won't say names, said Kate tactfully, but I will say this. When leadership uses its powers to silence a project initiated to benefit children and families, then silence is not an option anymore. By her side, Pippa shook, eyes shining, lips trembling, but smiling with thankfulness. And then the applause started, first a murmur, then louder and louder until the fairgrounds were booming in applause. The audience got it. Kate had said not a single name, yet the message was as clear as day. Everyone knew who hid in the dark of her words. Headlines flashed over Britain in hours. Kate Middleton accuses palace of blocking sister's nursery. Queen Camilla's role questioned in Bucklebury sabotage. Social media erupted. Number Stand With Pippa and Number Bucklebury Dream went viral globally. Influencers, activists, and even reclusive royal sympathizers took up the Middletons' cause. In one speech, the tide had turned. Camilla remained still at Clarence's house, the faint clinking of a teacup in her hand. In front of her, an advisor read the headlines out loud. "She has turned the media. The public are overwhelmingly against us." Camilla's lips pursed. Her tone was glacial. "Then we strike back, leak everything, dig up muck on the Middletons, portray them as social climbers seeking attention." And soon enough, Camilla loyalist tabloids retaliated with new headlines. Pippa exploits royal ties for personal gain. Middleton sisters wage PR war against the crown. But this time, the public wasn't buying it. The smear campaign seemed like a last-ditch effort. The nursery wasn't a vanity endeavor. It was already established in the community, and the more Camilla tried to push, the more sympathy moved to Pippa and Kate. Then came the tipping point. King Charles called them both to his office. Within the oak-paneled council room of Buckingham Palace, he presided over the table, his face tired, his fists clenched. "I want this finished," he growled. "I will not stand by and allow another royal conflict to decimate this family. We've suffered long enough." Kate pushed forward, her tone cutting. "You attempted to ruin my sister's future. Why? So that you would not be overshadowed." Camilla's response was subdued but lethal. "Your sister's ambition is irresponsible. The monarchy is not an instrument for vanity schemes." "This is not vanity," Kate shot back. "This is impact." Charles held up his hand, quieting both of them. His tone was absolute. "The public has spoken. Let the project proceed. We cannot afford another crisis." 2 days later, the Bucklebury Council reinstated the building permit. Apologies were made. Donors came back. The site hummed back into action, and in September, under golden skies, the nursery opened at last. The children sprinted barefoot across the lawn, their laughter ringing through the fields. Pippa stood on a little platform, smiling through tears. Kate clutched her hand tightly, their love unbroken. They had won more than a project. They had shown that even in the most powerful palace in Britain, sisterhood still possessed the power to shake a throne. Thanks for watching. Can you like my video? Please like, subscribe, and share.